Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time it is that you're listening to this, and welcome back to episode 4 of Unfiltered Faith. We are super excited for today's episode. It's been a little bit of a time coming, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. My name is Dom, and I'm here with my wife,
Gabby.
And we are about to dive into, we hinted at it a little bit last week with some of our students being in Belize on a mission trip. And we wanted to have some of our leaders that were there with them come on and talk a little bit about the mission trip. I'm sure the students will have an opportunity to talk about the mission trip as well. But we are super excited to introduce, we have here my eldest younger sister, Abby.
Hi.
And my youngest sister, Andy, here as well.
What up?
And so we have a little bit of a family podcast today, but we are all super excited to be here. We have some questions that we're going to ask them. Just so people that weren't on the mission trip, we're going to try to break down, one, like what to expect out of a mission trip, and two, specifically what happened with you guys, maybe the group on the mission trip as well. And really, really break it down for some of our listeners. So I'm going to pray real quick, and then we're going to get right into some questions, all right? God, thank you so much for today. Thank you for who you are, everything that you've done for us, God. Thank you for the call that you have on each of our lives to go and make disciples of all nations. Thank you for the opportunity to do mission trips, God. Thank you for putting us in a position where they're accessible to us. And I pray that you continue to bless the missions team at New Beginnings and all around the globe, God. Be with all of those that are in the field in your name, and it's in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Amen. All right, so let's. I kind of laid out these questions, chronologically a little bit. So we're going to talk about some like before trip questions. All right. This question will start with Abby. What were your expectations going into this trip?
It's not my first mission trip. I've been on a couple. And so I feel like my expectations of this trip, every time I go on a trip, I try not to have expectations. I kind of just go with open hands and be like, Lord, whatever you have to do, whatever you are calling me to do. And then the other side of that is the type A side of like, oh, we need to have an itinerary. We need to have some sort of like plan of what we're actually doing. And so I kind of looked that over. I mean, to know what to pack, because different cultures, you need to wear a skirt. Different cultures, you need to whatever. And so having that plan in my head, but also being like, I'm waking up and Lord, I don't know what you have for today, but just show me opportunities and show me where you have me today. And just kind of having like open hands. So I didn't really have any expectations, just sitting there with open hands and an open heart, just wherever the Lord wanted to do.
Yeah, that's a good response. Now to the type A sister. What expectations, itineraries did you have?
Type A.
You're more type A than
I think I'm a little more type A, but what were my expectations?
Yeah, what were your expectations going into it?
So same with Abby. This was, I think, my 6th mission trip since I was 14 years old. And so I definitely have experienced a lot on the mission field. And it's so hard. Like, that's such a hard question. And why I say that is because it's either one or the other, which it's either like what Abby said, when you have no expectations because you've seen God move in so many ways that you honestly are just like, God, whatever you want to do in my life, that's what I'm expecting. But then the type A, Andy, wants to say like, God, I have something that I need you to do in my life, and I'm expecting you to respond and do something in me and transform me. And I need, like, I know that you're going to meet me there. And I know that like there was a lot of sacrifice and commitment that went into saying yes to a mission trip, saying yes to Belize. Yeah. And God, I'm expecting you to move.
Yeah,
like
100%.
There's like a God, my hands are open. I trust you with whatever you do in my life. But then there's like a God, I need you. There's like a desperation and the expectation. And I think God moves in either of them.
Yeah. 100%.
Because the heart is, God, I know that you're going to move. But I think I was leaning more on the God, I'm desperate for you to move in my life. And I have questions that I need answered. I have things and doors that I think should be open. God, do you want them to be open? Or God, are you closing this door or this friendship for a reason? Like all of these things, like, it's like, God, I need you to do something. Like there is a desperation for you to move in my life. And so that's what I would say. I leaned a little bit more on that side this time, but I've been both, just expecting God to move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What about like, and I know this question wasn't in like the pre-questions that I sent y'all, but it's not a hard one. What about like cultural expectations? Both of y'all went on the Costa Rica mission trips. Compare Belize, like culturally, was it different? Was it similar?
So I've never been to Belize. Andy went last year. But it was a little bit different than Costa Rica. I feel like they were more conservative, I guess. Like there was more like the girls wear longer shorts. Like there's no tank tops. Like we wear skirts to church. Like all the women were dressed in long dresses and skirts. Even like the Sunday night services, even like any other like women's conference. We did some women's conference things there too, a couple of nights. And like we wore long skirts too. And it was all the women there did too. So I feel like dress wise, it was like that. But they also were like some of the kindest people we've ever met. Like,
way kinder than Costa Ricans.
Yes, like we went. I mean,
cool.
We love Costa Ricans too.
Oh yeah, I mean they're true. They're kind, but there's something about the Belize people.
They were so welcoming.
So well, every time that you walk up or like you walk in or they walk in, they're like their thing is like good night. So like when it's night services, you know, we're like that's like a peace out, see you later. That is like a welcoming for them. So they're like, good night, everyone.
It's over.
Yeah, and we're like, what? But like everyone is so welcoming. Everyone's so kind. Like anyone, even like walking past in the street, everyone's like, they're riding their bike. Hey, how are you? Like everyone's just so kind, which Costa Rica, I think people a little bit more reserved, I would say. There is a level of kindness.
I think there's a little bit of more of a wall in Costa Rica, like with some people when you're out in the communities and stuff. But like even like the families that we went to and like the villages and stuff, like they were just like, hey, like hey guys, like what y'all's names? Like they were just so like open. I don't know.
I would say spiritually, the only cultural difference that I've noticed being in Costa Rica and Belize was Costa Rica was 100% open when it came to the gospel.
Yeah.
And I have never been on a mission trip where someone like in Belize, there was people who it's very legalistic there. That's a great word. There, like we went into a village, we went into 2 villages and they prefaced to us before we got there that these people are really under this legalism and they were like, just speak to that. Like, speak to them with that in mind, understanding that like they don't need to have these rules and you know, regulations and all of this that they come up with. But there was one home visit that we went to that honestly like changed. I don't know. I'd never experienced that on a mission trip because the other home visits, they're crying, they're being touched by God, obviously, which is great. And they're so open to the gospel and to what Jesus is doing in their life. And then we went to one and they were just kind of on the edge a little bit.
Kind of closed off.
Yeah. And I never have seen that on a mission trip before in Central America. And I've been Mexico, Costa Rica, and Belize, and I've never seen that. But there was one particular home that we went to, which I think the enemy was really just like claws in that girl.
Yeah.
Which is so sad. And I think by the end of it, she had opened up a lot and she looked different.
Yeah.
But like she wouldn't she didn't look open, you know, like her posture was closed off and like she didn't want to receive, even though we were trying to encourage her. And I think like spiritually, there's some, we all know Central America and these countries that we're going to, there is a very poor, like low income areas that we get to minister to people too. And we go in the dirty and the gritty, like all the messiness, we get to go in there. And those people are so open because they're so desperate for it. Because they don't have any more, they have no hope in anything because they don't have anything. They're struggling to even put food on the table for their families. And so it's so easy to just, God, I trust you and I need you to provide.
Yeah.
But then I've never seen that on a mission trip where there was a little bit of a tug of,
Yeah.
and I don't know, and I think it definitely was the enemy, but I think there was a little legalism there too. And it's like, oh, there's these rules. I have to do this. I have to do this to be in a relationship with God. But it's just like, we were just encouraging her, like, no, like you are who God made you to be, you know, and like he loves you no matter what. And so I think that was the biggest like eye-opening thing for me, because I'd never seen that on a mission trip before.
Yeah.
Some of them were passive too about it. Like they were like, oh, well, we're kind of comfortable with where we're at. We don't want to change, which is, I feel
Which
like,
comes with legalism.
yeah, I
It's
feel like
harder.
I didn't see that either.
I've found it's harder to talk to somebody who's been taught the Bible in a legalistic way about God and Jesus than it is to talk to somebody who's never heard it.
All of America.
Yeah. Like it's incredible, the difference.
But yeah,
I know. Go ahead.
I got it. You know, I got it. So one thing, it's speaking into that also, one thing like preparing yourself, like how do you feel like y'all have been on mission trips, so it's not like your first rodeo, but like how did you prepare spiritually before you went on the trip?
It's so funny because I feel like all of these years of me going on mission trips and all of that stuff, I never understood the importance of prayer before going on a mission trip. And I've never seen until like, you know, these last probably 3 years when I went to Mexico 2 years ago, Belize last year, and then Belize again this year. And then I'm going to England in like a week. Can't you tell I love doing it? And that's what I'm called to. But I think since then, I didn't understand what praying into a mission trip looked like. And I never understood the importance of it. But since I started, I literally saw this verse come to life that God prepares a way. And like the Spirit goes before you and prepares for when you get there.
Yeah.
And when you pray, I think that's exactly what you're praying too, is like, God, would you prepare the moments? Would you prepare the people, the opportunities, the doors that are open for me there and for the people there? Because I don't want to miss what you have, and I don't want them to miss it either.
Yeah.
And so what I do is when God gives me an opportunity to say yes or no to something, like Belize, this like kind of fell into our laps randomly.
Yeah.
Like I was there last year, and I was like, I came back home and I was like, Mom, you would love this place. You would love God Cares Outreach and what they're doing and how they're connecting people to the local church. And there's just so much fruit in their ministry. And I remember going back and sharing, and I mean, within probably like 2 or 3 months, we'd already had something on the schedule. It was so funny. And it was such a God thing. And so, I mean, the second I said yes to that mission trip, I immediately started praying. And I think that like James 5:16 says, the righteous prayers are effective, right? The righteous people who pray, their prayers are effective. Yeah. And when you pray and then you see the fruit of that on a mission trip, you believe that verse.
Yeah.
You know, like when you are praying something as justified by the cross and by the blood, like you're praying, it is effective. Like it does something. It prepares your heart, but it prepares everybody else's heart too. And then like you're like, oh my God, like you're in a moment and you're like, oh my gosh, like God, this is what I prayed for, is like you to open this girl's heart or you to open this door for this woman to come to know Jesus. Like this, you already knew this before I even said yes to the trip. And that was kind of like a theme in our devotion throughout the week that we were there, was like, God knows. Yeah. And God knew that you were going to be there and that you were going to talk to that person and that you were going to pray for that person and you were going to heal that, like God was going to heal that person through you. And like all of these things, it's like God already knew. But how great is it that we get to partner with him in prayer and watch what he does through that, and then actually get to see it with your own eyes, like, and the fruit of it on the mission trip. And so how I prepare spiritually is like really believing that God is going to do mighty things like he says he would. Like I still believe God performs miracles, signs, and wonders today as he did 2,000 years ago when he walked the earth. And so I was preparing like, God, yes, like I can do this. You know,
Yeah.
like you are going to do this through me, and really just believing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you a different question. We were going to,
Okay.
I want you to walk me through a day. What kind of ministries did you do? What did you do in your downtime? Like, what did a day look like over there?
So a day, let's see. Most of them kind of looked somewhat similar, except for like we just went to different churches. The beginning, we had to wake up at like 2:00 in the morning to travel there, and so they wanted us to like be able to have time to rest. So we had like an early night that first night. Like we went and saw some churches, we saw some things, but and like gave us a little tour. But then we had to rest that night. But I think the first day we woke up probably like 8 a.m. or so, like not too late, not too early. And we would have plans to go. We started doing these women's conferences. We did 2 of them where it was our mom actually wrote this Bible study of women in the Bible, and like it's called Both and we can go over that later. But like we were able to give those books. We also had some printed in Spanish too, so we gave them to the women, and we kind of just ran. They have the pastor or like the head like leader of God Cares Outreach, like him and his wife. His wife came to the women's conferences, and so that was sweet to be able to do that. But we kind of went to different churches and met different pastors and different just people there too. And like went to their services and kind of just integrated ourselves in their routine, which I kind of liked because we were able to just like see their culture of it, but also be able to like pray over them and speak like life into them and just like encourage them and stuff like that. And so that was kind of our typical day. There were some days where we had some downtime. And so in that time, we got to actually spend time at the hotel with people or... Sorry. So sorry. So sorry.
You did the one thing he told you
I'm
not
so
to do.
sorry.
I gave them rules of engagement before the podcast.
I'm
Don't
in
touch
my
the
brother's
table.
gaming chair, and so I'm making a lot of noise. I'm so sorry. And then I just hit the table. So anyways, yeah, our downtime at the hotel, we got to spend a lot of time with the team. I think it was just me, Andy, and our mom was the only ones who had been on a mission trip before, right?
Bruce.
And then Mr. Bruce.
Mr. Bruce.
Mr. Bruce. He is a
got stories for
74-year-old
you.
man who came with us, and he's great. We had 2 older men
loves
who
it.
came with us.
He came to Costa
they-
Rica too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
did. And they both are just so full of life and still kicking, and so it's just great. Anyways, they were just such gentlemen on the trip, and it was just so sweet. Like they were like carrying all the heavy bags of food, and we're like,
they
no,
wouldn't
like, we
let
can get
anyone.
it. Like it's fine. And anyways,
That's so cute.
but all the other women that were with us hadn't been on a mission trip before. And so it was just really sweet to be able to like grow in those relationships and those friendships with them too, of like talking to them about how we grew up in church and just our relationship with the Lord, and like honestly praying over each other too, and just like talking about what this means in the Bible and what this means here when we saw this from this thing that we saw in the village, and just like the way our people are praying, this is how they do that. And so it's just like it was sweet to be able to like grow those relationships with them, because we were all friends before, we knew of each other and like the church and stuff, but I feel like we got a little
to
closer.
connect.
Yeah, we got to connect with them, and so that was sweet in the downtime. And also the relationships with the not missionaries.
Yeah, I
Do you
mean,
hear the cats?
You hear the cats.
Yeah.
Through the
That's so
headphones.
funny.
You hear the cats.
I know, literally.
But
Through the people who worked for God Cares Outreach.
Yeah, for the people who worked through like for God Cares Outreach, like it was
They're
just
all
like
our age.
yeah, and so it was just sweet to be able to like make new friends too, and just like hear their story and how they grew up and how they came to the ministry.
Were they American or were they like local?
They were
from Belize.
local.
Yeah,
they're
they're from Belize.
Belizeans.
Oh, cool.
And
Yeah.
2 of them are related to the pastor and his wife who run the ministry.
Yeah.
But it's so cool because we got to hear all their stories separately and how God brought them. Like none of them followed Jesus
Yeah.
and at all, like when they were younger. And because they just grew up rough, and then they met Jesus, started working for the ministry, and it's changed their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're all
That's
like
really cool.
23, 22, 20, 19, like very young, you know, all our age. And so
But-
it was just cool.
It was so sweet just like hearing how like we both grew up differently culturally, culturally,
Culturally,
culturally,
culturally. There you go.
how we grew up different, but we all came to know the same God, and
Yeah.
how like He can still work in different ways and all of that. It was just such a sweet like moment. We like there was one night, it was like our last night seeing them, like they weren't going to be with us the last day, and we just all like were crying and hugging each other, and it was just sweet. Like we met them 4 days ago, but
Yeah.
it was just sweet. So
I know the Bible says like you'll know God by the work of his hands.
Yeah.
And I do think it's cool. There are times I remember when I was on a mission trip in Nicaragua, and I was talking about this last night with you guys. I was like standing in the middle of a field surrounded by volcanoes, the peaks of the volcanoes coming through the clouds, and it was beautiful. And I remember sitting in that moment and like, man, how can anybody look around and not realize that there's like a creator?
yeah,
Like I'm actually like I'm getting a little bit like glassy eyed right now, like thinking about just the beauty of not like we're just talking about Earth, right? But like the entire universe. There are so many pictures of you have God's hand, right? The big, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The like cosmic dust
Over it,
that
yeah.
looks like a hand, like so many different like cool things in the universe, man. It is really cool. We're going to skip ahead a little bit, and then we're going to circle back to some of the fun questions to end it, because we're going to probably get really deep here.
okay.
Okay. Where did you clearly see God moving? Or who did you clearly see God moving in? You don't have to name drop if you don't want to name drop.
Yeah. I think for me, there was one lady in particular on the trip who, has been walking with Jesus for a little bit, but just very closed off to the gifts of the Spirit, I think, or sorry, not closed off, but maybe a little hesitant about it, and kind of cautious on what that looks like and all of that. And funny enough, most of the people on our trip, their cultural, religious background was all Catholic.
Yeah.
And so, gifts of the Spirit, especially growing up Catholic, are just a little weird. Like, let's be honest here, they're just weird to people who grew up Catholic, because it's just not known. It's not seen. It's not
It's not
talked
public.
about. It's
not
not
public.
practiced.
Yeah.
It's not public. And so there was one woman in particular that God kind of just had highlighted me the whole trip. And I was just praying and believing that I think her heart was open, but God was really just going to touch her in a new way. And on Sunday, we went to 2 different church services. And so we experienced some great things. But I mean, from the moment we walked in to the first church service to the moment we walked out, she was crying the whole time.
Yeah.
And I got to pray over her during it and hear her thoughts. And she literally just said, I've never felt the presence of God so heavy.
Yeah.
And it's such a sweet presence. And she was like, and I never want to leave it. And you could tell there was a hunger inside of her. There was a different hunger inside of her than when she came on the trip. And
Now she knows why her
that
kiddos want to come to youth so much.
Exactly. And there was one moment that I think just shifted something in her. And I mean, she cried from the second she walked in, during worship, during the message, during all of it. And it was so funny. It was funny, but it was just great that God touched her so beautifully, and like in such a simple way, because it's the same over here. Like, we worship over here. We hear messages over here,
Yeah.
We pray over here. But there was just a sweetness and just a hunger that I saw in her that I admire, because it's, the fire that you get when you first follow Jesus is just like no other. And the enemy wants to come in and take that. But there was just a fire on her that I really admire, and I'm inspired by too.
Yeah.
And just how much she's let God work in her life. It just was crazy. And so I think that's where I saw God move the most. And not even just in that moment, really throughout the week, she had stepped out of her comfort zone more than she ever thought she could. And it was just so cool to watch that, and the connection that she's made and all of that. And so I think that's something that she's definitely called to do. And she's just starting to see it.
Yeah.
And I think that that's so cool, and it's so fun, and I love it. So that was for me, that was probably just the biggest blessing to watch someone just grow.
Yeah. So
Don't answer the wrong question here, because I'm going to ask you a question later, and I know that that's where you want to go right now.
kind of. I'll speak a little bit and just wave me down if it's like answering your other question. But honestly, the kids, like we did some children ministry. We did like block parties and we made hot dogs and cotton candy and all the things for them. But we also like ended up
want a hot dog real bad.
You look like the 4th of July. What is that? I can't
Jennifer
do her voice.
Coolidge. Jennifer Coolidge.
But we did all these like children's ministry things, and that's honestly like that is a passion in my heart, and that is. Are you still laughing about the hot dog?
Yes, I'm still having a hot dog.
We know him too well.
But that is such a passion in my heart, and it's just one of my callings is just like children. And so getting to see that, the first children thing we did, I felt like there wasn't. I feel like we planted more seeds than we saw grow. Mm-hmm. And so the first one was a little rough because, you know, you do the full like dancing crazy with them and all the worship songs. And then you do like the little bit of a cheesy skit. But it's very basic of like, this is who the Lord is. This is what he did for you. This is how you can accept him. Yeah. And this is what this means. And it's a very basic skit, but it can feel cheesy to us. But we did it the first day. We got some kids that responded, but then others just seemed like they were so closed off to it. And then we went into this other village. And I feel like it was the village that was more legalistic. The kids there though, like when we did the skit, like I think it was
the second one.
Yeah, one of the girls who did the skit, she like asked at the end of it, she was just like, do you want to know Jesus today? Like you can have a relationship with him today. Like raise your hand if you want to. And literally the kids, like I want to say 70, at least 7 of them were just like,
75%, I think of
like they raised their hand and they're like me, yeah. And I told her this too, like the girl who said that, I was just like, your face whenever all the kids lit up, like she was like, okay, yeah, like she was like, she was so excited. She was like, wait, really? Like the skit was like, you understood that?
Who was it?
Sophia. She was so excited and it was all over her face, and then like that joy on her face translated to like it was with them too. Yeah. And even some of the adults in the room too, like they responded to the skit also, and
the moms.
So and so it was just so sweet to see all that, and then we like all prayed together, and it was just so sweet because it's like these kids, like they don't have much. They're growing up so much different than all of us were, and we went. It wasn't the like most like the nicest place that we've been to, but like it was just so sweet seeing that. And I've seen that a million times on all these mission trips, but like each time that I don't know, it's just seeing it in person, like their face with the joy of the Lord on these children's faces, like it just changes you, and you're just like, wow, like, and it brings me back to that verse about us having childlike faith too. Like it is that simple. I mean, yes, like a relationship with the Lord is not easy and it can be complex, but it's like it goes back to that simplicity of like he has a heart for you, and he just wants your yes. He doesn't want you to be perfect. He doesn't want you to have everything together before you come to him. And he doesn't even want you to have all the physical things in the world. He doesn't even like want you to have like a perfect church, pretty building with running water and electricity or AC. Yeah. Like he just wants your heart. And that was a good reminder for me this week of like, you don't even have to have the physical church building and every piece I mean, we have it here, but like, you don't need that.
You don't need it, yeah.
So it was sweet. That was the kids were
That's really cool.
That's why I love it.
The kids are the best part.
Amen.
I'm biased too. But with that, I mean, we go into mission trips knowing that there's a change going to happen. And I love hearing stories just from mission trips. I had a little bit of a FOMO from not being on this mission trip. I told Dom multiple times that I was like, I wish I was there. He's like, well, you weren't meant to be there. But how do you feel, or do you feel like there was a moment that your faith was either strengthened or challenged within this mission trip?
Yeah. I wasn't, I mean, I was supposed to go, but I feel like I was kind of iffy about going at first. Those of you who don't know, I'm a nurse in the pediatric ER. And so like my schedule is a little crazy. I was switching from night shift to day shift. And then financially also, I was just trying to figure that out. And it was a lot of change at once. And this trip was like in the middle of that change. And so I was like, wouldn't want to commit to something unless I can fully go. And I was like, you know what? No, like I'm going to commit to this, and then everything else is going to have to be figured out. And so I'm so glad I did that. But it was just sweet, being able to be on that trip. But I feel like, what was the question?
How was your faith strengthened or challenged?
But I feel like it was Sunday night, that service that we went to, it was so like people were just on fire for the Lord, and they were like, we had like a Belizean cowboy like singing his worship song, country song, and then like the pastor
practicing.
Oh
They're
yeah,
gonna do it for y'all on Sunday.
And the pastor was just so passionate, and like he was just one of those like screaming, but like it was
Very
a good
Pentecostal.
screaming. Very, but it was just like so different. And then it was funny because mom preached at that, and mom is just not like, that's just not her style of it. So she was like, oh good Lord.
So he was like, yes Lord, yes Jesus.
Yeah.
And she was like,
Yeah.
keep on building. That's
Yeah. And so it was just sweet. But afterwards, after mom preached and stuff like that, we did an altar, or we did like we had some people from the team go up and pray over some people. And I prayed over two people. And I feel like that woman's face is just kind of ingrained in my brain now. She opened the service in prayer, and she prayed over, like, she was just such a strong like woman up there. Mm-hmm. And she came up to me for prayer. And so I was just like, oh, like, what's going on? She told me about how her husband had just passed away, and she has 7 kids. And I was just like, and she was just going on about her broken heart, and she just felt so defeated and so discouraged in life, and just how she's going to make it day to day.
Yeah.
And it was just, I told her, I was like, you would have never known. Like your faith was the first thing that I saw in you when I came in here.
That's awesome.
And so I encouraged her, and then I prayed over her also. But it's just like one of those things where it's like, it's just sweet walking through, me having personally walked through like some heartbreak in the recent-ish past. But like, so it was just sweet to be able to, like, after coming out of that, and like seeing the Lord heal me from that, and then being able to be a piece in the story that He is helping, like using me to pray over this woman for healing for that. Like it was so like, I guess full circle moment, if that's the right word for it. But it was just such like a sweet thing. And then right after that, it was just a little boy. He had to be like maybe 9 years old. And he, the whole time during worship, was like full hands up, like praising the Lord.
Row.
He was front row.
That's so funny.
I don't know if his parents were there. He didn't really seem, like, he knew the person next to him, but it didn't look like a parent. Anyways, and it was just so sweet because he walked up to me and Sophia actually, and we started praying over him. He was just like, I have this thing in my head and I really need prayer for it. And then we didn't know what that meant, but we were like, okay. So we prayed over him. I don't know if it was a physical thing. I don't know if it was like thoughts, if he was stressed out. I have no idea. But we prayed over him, and he just the whole time sat there, eyes closed, open hands, and was just like receiving it. And then he was like, thank you guys. And he walked away. And it was just so sweet because it was just like two of the things that I was so passionate about, like women and like healing in women and like their hearts and just like fully surrendering things to the Lord, and then like children and prayer over children. It was just like two of the things that I could relate to. Mm-hmm. And it was just like, it grew me because like we pray over people all the time and minister and even at youth too, and like worship as well. But like, I feel like majority of my ministry is nursing or worship and singing in a room. And I feel like it's not as often that I get to like pray over people, like just words and like speaking over people. And so getting to do that, it was just like a reminder of like, hey, like the power of the Lord, and you can work in many different ways. And like, I still have these different gifts for you that you're able to use. And so it was just like a good reminder. And I think someone snapped a picture of it. So it was like, it's just so sweet.
I'm always so hesitant whenever I have to like do ministry outside of the ministry that I'm like comfortable in and like called to on a weekly or daily basis. Like the pastoring, the worship, I do that all the time. But like whenever I'm sitting there praying and it's like very clear that, you know, I'm about to prophesy over somebody, I always I'm like, is this real? Like, am I feel like I'm so uncomfortable in that part of it because it's not something that I practice every day. Right.
Yeah. I would be honest. I mean, praying over people too is out of my comfort zone.
No, yeah, 100%. That's what I'm saying. Like it's weird and it's hard, but also the Lord uses it so much.
My comfort zone is singing and not necessarily speaking. And so when you have to speak, it's like, And when the Lord's like, hey, you need to speak. And then I'm like, okay, all right. So
Me and Gabby over here like,
Put us in, go.
we want to.
It's not that we don't want to.
Yeah,
No, but
it's just
I
it's
get
something
it. Yeah.
just
more
get so
out
much
of our
joy out of
comfort
it.
zone. Yeah.
No, yeah, and I want to make sure I'm not misunderstood. I get a lot of joy out of it as well. It's just I know very much that the Lord's given me the gift of prophecy. It's just whenever I do have to use it, I'm like, I never want to, because there are kids, and I didn't know this until recently, but there are kids, like even in our youth group, that are unaware, like you said about the lady at the mission trip, they're unaware of the gifts of the Spirit, and they don't know how they work. And so they might think what you're doing is heresy. They might think what you're doing is like wrong or unbiblical. And like having to explain, like that's just my concern. And that's the pastoring side of me, seeing the big picture when I wish I couldn't. If I couldn't see the big picture, I'd have no issue pulling the trigger on some of that stuff that I'm talking about.
I mean, speaking in your prayer language was one of the big topics that we had to talk about.
I answered questions about that yesterday.
Because that was everywhere. And some people on our team were just like, I mean, obviously questions about, if you don't know what that is, you're like, wait, what? Like it's just one of the more vocal things. And so
which we
talked about
experienced
that.
on Friday, the first day that we did ministry there. And then we
love it.
talked about it Saturday because we just wanted to make sure, like we felt led to talk about it because we just didn't want anyone to be like, this is heresy, you know? And so then Saturday we had like did a whole devotion on it and just encouraged people like that. And then Sunday was like,
it was
all over gifts of the Spirit all over, like speaking in tongues and prophecy and all of it, just like on fire for Jesus and the gifts of the Spirit's working. And so it was really cool that God kind of like set that up in such a good way, because I think people were more open Sunday to hear than if we didn't have that conversation on Saturday.
Another part of our routine was devotions in the morning. I forgot to say that.
Oh no,
but we did team devotions, so that's what we talked about in the devotions and stuff like that. But going back to Sunday real quick, like that morning was so like she said, like the presence of the Lord was so like, I felt like tangible in that room. Like, and the Lord has blessed me with empathy and being able to feel what others are feeling and sensitivity. Yes, Gabby too.
Lord, give me some of that.
And so like sometimes I am in the room, I am more of an observer and just kind of like sitting there with open hands and kind of quietly just like observing and like receiving what the Lord is doing in the room. And sometimes I can feel what others are feeling in the room. Yeah. And after, I want to say like a worship song or two, like the presence of the Lord was just so heavy that I had to sit down. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, where like your face just kind of goes like tingly and then you can't even stand anymore. And so I just sat down. I felt like I just felt the weight of somebody being delivered in that room. Like something was like, I just felt the weight of it. And so I just sat down and just like worshiped the Lord like from there. And it was just like, I feel like, I don't know why that isn't as common in our Sunday morning services, but then we walked out to lunch and I was like, that was a Sunday morning. Like, when's the last time that happened on a Sunday morning? You know, like, we can just get so caught up in routine over here and there. It was just so
many
sweet.
distractions.
Yeah.
You want to know, I actually saw something this week and it's like, it's really inspiring. And I'm going to talk to you about this too, as my youth worship pastor. I saw this week. There's this guy, I can't remember his name. He is a it's like an entire worship band for hire. Like, so they go to churches that don't have worship bands and they lead worship for them. And he was telling me he has not scheduled more than 2 songs on a Sunday in like the last 3 years. So what he does is he schedules like a song and a half, 2 songs. Because most churches do have a time limit on worship. And that's something that a lot of worship leaders struggle with. But he does that because it leaves space for when the Spirit does move. There's not like, oh, I need to move on to the next song, or, oh, I started this song, just 2 minutes ago and I only have 2 minutes left because we're on the last song of the set.
Yeah.
It leaves space for there to be like, hey, if I need to sit in this song for 10 minutes, I can, because I didn't overschedule and like try to squeeze, 4 songs into however long the set is.
Yeah.
The example he gave was like a pastor gave him 18 minutes for worship, which is crazy. But he wants, like, you honor the house, you honor the pastor and the authority that,
Right.
the Lord put there. But breaking up routine like that, where it's not like so structured, I think would be something really cool. And I want to, I agree with you on that. I'm going to come back to this question because this is a big question, but we're going to come back at the end because I want to hit some of the other stuff that happened on the trip. And then I'm going to reword it a little bit too at the end. So we're going to talk about, honestly, we've answered all of these questions, like just inadvertently in us asking the other ones. Let's hit it now then. What were some answered prayers, or what was the other unexpected opportunities or words that you guys received on this trip?
Yeah, I feel like honestly a lot. I'll say my 2 big ones really quick. They're not very long, but well, first it was really cool because I went there last year, and so a lot of people remembered me, and I remembered them, and there was sweet connections there. And Pastor Frederick from Experience Church, which is the first church that we went to Sunday morning, last year he prophesied over me, and he said just a few words that I will understand one day, but I mean, then I just didn't understand it. But he said, at the age of 21, your ministry is going to be birthed. And then a whole year later, I'm standing and I'm preaching to his congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember standing up there and just being like so honored that God would open this door, but that he would choose me.
Yeah.
To communicate what he wanted to communicate in that moment. And it was just so sweet. Like I felt so like, it is what a privilege and an honor it is first to serve Jesus, but what a privilege and an honor it is to be like, to sacrifice things to be used by him.
Yeah.
And I just loved that like so much. And so I would say like 2 big answered prayers was, I was talking when I was preaching that Sunday morning, I'd opened up by saying like, I have a degree in international business or whatever. And someone came up to me after, one of the guys in the church, and he was like, hey, like, I just have this word that I'd love to release over you. And I was like, sure. And he was like, God intended all along for you to have a degree in international business. And basically what he said in a nutshell was, you are not just called to ministry, but you're called to the marketplace. And the way you run businesses and organizations will change the marketplace. And that gave me a lot of confirmation and hope. And like,
You're doing it.
I did it. Like I did what I was supposed to, because there was moments where I was like, I don't even know why I'm in international business. I don't know why God brought me there. I don't even know why I'm doing it, because I don't like it that much. And like, I feel called to ministry, and like, I don't want to do anything
I don't even
else.
like the call that you have on me.
And I was like, why am I doing this? And I remember just so clearly, like God saying, I'm telling you to do it. And I was like, yes, sir. Like, I'll do it. And
Yes, sir.
yes, sir. Like, sure. Like, what did it suck at moments because I like didn't understand the vision behind it. And so I was just like, Lord, help me stay motivated. But so that was really sweet, was just like God confirming like, yes, you did what you were supposed to, and God's going to use that and honor you in that. And so that was really cool. And then my second one was, I have been praying about doing an international internship right after I graduate college. So I have 1 more year left to graduate in the beginning of this May coming up. And I have just been praying, like, I mean, obviously Costa Rica is always an opportunity because we're really close with the missionaries down there and all of that. But I just didn't feel peace about Costa Rica.
Sorry.
And just kind of praying through it. And so that was kind of like what I was desperate for going into it, was like, God, hey, I really want you to speak on this so I can start praying, start raising money. Like, it's a lot.
She has a degree in international business.
I know.
And missions.
I know. And I'm like, God, is this what you want me to do? Is Belize the place and all of that? And so I've just been praying and just felt a lot of confirmation from the Lord. And I'm not rushing it, and I'm still going to pray about it. But when I was little, I was telling the people on the team this, the last day that we were there. But when I was little, I made just this promise, like, hey God, like butterflies are like a you and I thing. And so like, that's why I have it tattooed. But like, it was just like a thing as like a little girl, like, oh my gosh, God, like I love butterflies. And like, this is our thing, like you created these. And so like, it was just kind of like a thing. Like, it was just a thing. me and God just made a thing. And like,
It was a thing.
It was a thing. I don't know how else to put it. It was just a thing. And butterflies remind me of just the promise and the faithfulness of God. Yeah. And I mean, we're literally sitting there second to last day, and we're driving on the freaking interstate, you guys, the interstate of Belize. And I could have, oh my gosh, if I would have counted, there would probably been hundreds of butterflies I saw that day. Like all different kinds, monarchs, like neon yellow, neon pink, like crazy ones that I've never seen, like all of these different butterflies. And then we were at like the retreat center, like painting and doing work. And all these butterflies just keep coming up to me. And like, they're just surrounding me. And I'm like, God, you're funny. Like,
Are you Snow White?
Like, what?
Was that your Snow White moment?
I don't know. Like, they were coming up to me. I know. That's what. Okay, yeah, enchanted.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt. And Kylie was like, why is there so many butterflies? I was like, I'm not just seeing them, right? Like, they're everywhere. And
I'm not
I was
hallucinating.
Like, I'm not hallucinating this. And she goes, no, they're everywhere. And like, they're weird kinds, like things that like kinds that we don't see. And so it was just so cool because God's like, hey, I'm here. Yeah. And like, that was the day that I just felt very burdened to pray for what Belize internship looks like and all of that stuff. And really like my heart here. And that was the same day, like one of the guys who works for the ministry was like, hey, like, why would you want to, like, why do you love Belize so much? Like, why has God brought you back here? What is God saying to you about this? And so it was just a moment of like praying and reflecting and just the faithfulness and the promises of God that were so evident in my life. And so
That's awesome.
That was kind of an answered prayer for me. It was like, hey, God, like, why is my heart here? Like,
yeah,
I have a heart for Africa and all of that. Obviously, like, y'all all know that since a very, very young age. But like, I've also always been called to Central America for some reason. Like, God has got me there. Mexico, Costa Rica, Belize, like all of these.
You got to come with me to Nicaragua one day.
I know. And so I'm just, it's just cool to see how like God was really like burdening my heart for Central America and really the reason why. And so that was a cool answered prayer for sure.
Yeah.
What about you, Abilou?
Honestly, I feel like abolitious.
You the bridge.
Oh my gosh. Honestly,
you got to talk about the bridge.
I'm about to.
Good.
I'm about to.
Not the radio station.
No, not the radio station. But honestly, I feel like I saw healing in myself, in my heart, in just like, just some things. I feel like, not that I was like falling away the past year, but I feel like the last year of work was just so hard. And sometimes it's really hard to just carry the burden of that, and just the heavy things. And so I feel like sometimes it just gets so like tiring to continuously give things to the Lord. Like, does that make sense? Like, it's like when I'm doing it so often, every day, multiple times a day, like the heavy things that I carry, it's just like so exhausting. So I just kind of got to a point where I was just so like, I felt empty. Like, I felt like so like discouraged, I guess, that I was just like, I feel so empty, Lord. And then right before we left for the trip, I just felt so like honestly physically sick. Like I've been having so many like gallbladder problems like for the past year. And so it just like flared up and it was just like I was in pain. Like I couldn't eat. And I was just like, what the heck? Like this is just, and then I was like, I'm leaving next week. So of course, like the enemy's trying to do something.
Yeah.
And so I talked to some of my friends and I was like, can y'all, this is like so random, but like, can y'all pray over this? Like, I know it's like so specific, but like, I just know that this is like the enemy trying to distract me and get me in pain to where I'm like mentally unclear and I don't listen to the Lord and like just things like that. And so then in return with that, the enemy was also like, oh, well, you feel so empty. So like, are you really supposed to be here? Are you really supposed to go on this trip? Are you really supposed to like, do like, it was just so many thoughts. And I started calling it out. I said it out loud. I was like, no, I was like, I am supposed to be there. Like, this is, you're one, I was like, not speaking to the enemy, but I was just like, I guess so. I was just like, I was like, get away. I was like, no, like, there is no, like, there's no reason, like that is a lie. That is a lie. It is not from the Lord. I was like, look, the Lord has called me here and what your one thought in my head, enemy cannot undo all the things that the Lord has done.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially like
That'll
in my
preach.
life, but also like to get to this point of the week before we leave. And even down to like, I was working 5 shifts in a row. So I was tired and I was just whatever. And I was just like, no, I was like, look, I'm going and it's fine. And so I have kind of always felt, I guess this is me being an open book right now, like always, but I guess I kind of always felt like the quieter one in our family. Like we all have our own,
for sure.
our own.
Especially when you have Dom as a brother.
Yes, Dom is very loud.
Andy is louder than me.
Yeah, I think y'all are both equally loud. But I've always been the quieter one in our family. And just like, I've always just felt like the enemy has used that to get in my head, to cause me to be anxious about situations, to tell me in my head, be like, hey, you don't need to speak up. You don't need to open your mouth. Like, you just need to be silent. And I let it randomly when I feel not okay, I randomly let that in my head and let that be at the forefront of my mind, to be completely honest. Like, I'm not good at, I wasn't good at that. And so really this trip, I was like, Lord, fill me with like give me some sort of clarity or like reminder that like I know you're there, but I felt like I hadn't felt him in a while. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like majority of my time is in a chaotic, negative environment that is
sure.
healthcare. And that's a whole nother thing. But anyways, and so like
Charlie,
I
in the
feel
back
like
is so funny.
I know
Our
Charlie.
cat
Charlie's
keeps
agreeing.
meowing.
He's screaming.
He's
I don't
so
know how he
cute.
still has
He's
oxygen
with you,
in his lungs.
Abby. He's saying amen.
And so like after all of like those things, like I just felt like so honestly like discouraged going into the mission trip. And that I feel like the Lord, I was just asking for clarity and just for like whatever to like just give me some sort of like, hey, I see you and I'm there with you and I see the way you're feeling and I see how you feel defeated. And I was just like, okay, because Sunday morning, Pastor Frederick was what Andy was talking about, that church that we went to that morning where the presence of the Lord was just so heavy. He ended up prophesying and praying over a couple of us. And I had never really been prophesied over before. And I had never met this pastor. I've seen it happen to other people and I've heard it and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. But it's never been personal for me, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so he first prophesied over Mom. And I was like kind of in the same vicinity, just kind of praying over people, praying with people and worshiping, had worship music going and stuff like that. And then he looks at me, he was like, you, like, I want to pray over you. And I was like,
With the finger.
oh, yeah.
You.
And I was like, okay. So he was like, can I hold your hands? I was like, yeah, sure. And so like, he just sat there, held my hands and he started praying for a second and then he stopped and it was just like a silent thing. So I was like, what's going on? And you could just like, I just felt like.
Can I just preface something about Pastor Frederick?
Yeah.
He is very different from every other person that I've ever seen prophesied.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is most people who release prophetic words are very authoritative. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they're like, the Lord said, you know, you're going to, I don't know, be a leader or whatever. And so they're prophesying. But one thing that I admire about Pastor Frederick is that he has this calming, sweet presence. Mm. And there's a gentle spirit that connects with his gift of prophecy. And he sits there and he's like, hey, this is what God's saying.
Yeah. It was a
like,
whisper.
It's a whisper. And it is so cool because God never screams.
Yeah.
God speaks in a whisper. And so when he's prophesying, it's calm, it's gentle, it's silent almost.
It's a picture of the Lord, how he speaks.
And
That quiet,
it's
still
literally
voice.
Jesus. Like you can see Jesus
Mm.
in him. And I love him. Anyway, I could talk about him all day, every day. Go ahead.
I had never met him before. It's my first time meeting him. I had a simple conversation. He didn't even know what I did for work. He didn't know how my day-to-day life would, like, he just knew my name, and he knew Andy from last year. But he was like, I want to pray over you. And I was like, okay. And so he started praying a little bit, and then there was like a moment of silence, and I was just like I didn't know what to do. And then he looked at me and he was just like, it was so clearly from the Lord through him. He was just like, you are a mouthpiece. That's what he started off by saying. You are a bridge for your family. You are the inviter in with your words and your calming presence that the Lord is shining through you. You invite people in. And so your calling looks so much different than your families and your siblings and your parents. And your calling is a little different, but it doesn't mean it's less than. And it was just such like just was so healing to my heart to hear things like that, because the enemy can so easily get in my head and be like, no, you're too quiet. You're too anything that's
different.
Yeah, you're too different.
You're just a middle child.
Yeah, literally. He didn't know I was a middle child. He didn't know that. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so it was just like so sweet to hear that. And he also like prophesied, like, he also said, like, I see a lot of children around you currently, but also in your future, there'll be a lot of children. And that is just such like a passion and desire in my heart too. And so like, just to hear that confirmation of like, it will happen for you. Like, it's just sweet. And so, he also like even mentioned stuff of like the migraines that you've been having since you were little, the episodes of zoning out and disassociating, that is a thing. Like, those things are the enemy's way of trying to distract you from getting your thoughts off of the Lord and onto on anything but that. And so I'm just like, this is just crazy. And so it was just stuff like that. And then even like he said, like, people in your workplace, you're in a chaotic environment at work, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. He was like, people in your workplace will come to know Christ because if you allow him to shine through you and continue that. And I was just like, it was just all the things that were like in my head, on my heart too, like just the difficult things that I'm currently walking through. Like, it was just like, hey, no, the Lord's hand is on that. He sees you and he's with you through that. And if you allow him, he will work through you within that. And I was just like, I was sobbing, obviously. I cried.
She's
everything.
a crier.
Very much a crier, but it's like, it's just so sweet that like he called out some things at work and like travel nursing and just like other things too. But it was just such a confirmation and it was just out of the blue. Like, and it wasn't one of those, like Andy said, like loud, like you are going to do this and this and this. It was just like a quiet, still voice of like, hey, I see you.
Yeah.
And hey, good. I'm with you. And it was just such a healing thing. Yeah. It was such a healing thing for my heart.
Hearing God's voice and releasing it out of your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But his whole point of it was, you are a bridge. You're a bridge. And I was just like, wow, what a
bridge.
positive way to look at those things. And so to sum it up, I am a bridge. And so that's why we're,
she got a tattoo.
I was going to say before Gabby asked her next question, Abby did get a bridge tattooed on her ankle.
In Belize.
And when she showed it to me without any context yesterday, I was like, is that a bikini?
It does not look like a bikini.
It looks like a bikini top a little bit.
Did
saw it
too.
sideways.
Can I see it?
Yeah.
Anna said it looked like a bikini.
It looks a little bit like a bikini top.
It is the most simple bridge.
I don't think so.
The other,
I don't
you
think
saw
it
it
does.
sideways.
My second question was, is that the Golden Gate Bridge?
Yeah, so you thought
I
it was
said
a
that
bridge.
too. But I didn't put two and two together
Look, the
until
tattoo
yesterday.
the tattoo artist was like, that's a bridge. You want a bridge? Like, yeah. Like, he knew it was a bridge before he said anything. But
Praise
anyways,
God.
it's the most simple bridge that I could find because all the other ones had like the gate, like crossing things. And I was
too
like,
much.
this is too much. And I wanted a tattoo there, like that just as a reminder
Of what the Lord did.
Of what the Lord did, where he did it. And so it was just like I found this picture. I was like, you know what? So it's on my ankle.
So funny. Like, there was like 6 of us that got tattoos in Belize.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Really? Wait, so you three, and then who else?
Aaron.
And then Aunt Peggy and Mom.
That's 5.
Oh, Kylie was supposed to get one,
Oh yeah,
but she was Kylie wanted one,
a small
but
one
she
on her
was
finger,
upset
but he
because
was
he
like,
wouldn't
I can't
do it on her finger where she wanted it, and so she was like,
yeah.
"I'm just gonna wait then."
Yeah, some girls got henna tattoos, like little
Yeah.
like
I
I
worship
did see
things.
that. I saw the pictures
That's
of
cute.
the
It was sweet.
tattoos.
Yeah,
But
Just listening. It blows my mind that 12 people went on this trip.
yeah.
12 people experienced something different. So like we're hearing 2 stories right now. And there are 10 other people that I'm like going to go hunt down.
Yeah.
Be like, tell me what he did. Tell me what God did in your life. But what do you think that you would tell somebody who's considering going on a missions trip?
Maybe for the first time.
Yeah.
I would say that there is going to be a lot that tries to come against you before you go. A lot of, I feel like that's like the main time that the enemy's like doubting. You're doubting your faith, you're doubting your ability, or even like doubting that the Lord can use you. And He can use you.
Yeah.
And so surrounding yourself with people, with prayer over that is important. But I also think that like people, I think, go in with no expectations other than invitation of the Lord wanting to move, but also that like his heart is going to, you're going to see a lot of change. You're going to see a lot of transformation in yourself, and you're going to get out of it from the Lord as much as you put into it. And so there's a humbling of yourself and a sacrificing of things that even your comfort, your day-to-day routine, but like it is the most fulfilling time. And I feel like it's just, I don't want to say that like the Lord is more over there, but it's like whenever you are out of your environment, the chaos
cycle,
environment,
distractions.
yes, your routine, the chaos of work, the chaos of life, the stress of things around you, when you just kind of go to a place, I felt like it was just quieter over there. It was more still over there. There was less distractions over there. And when you go to a place like that, you're able to just hear God more clearly, I feel like. And so just expect the Lord to speak, but also be patient and be still, and have moments of that on the trip as well, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say, I would tell somebody something that I wish I was told when I went on my first mission trip at the age of 14, even at a young age. I think anyone can get this and understand this, is understand what your yes is. And then continue to say yes to it. And I think people say yes before they understand what it really all entails. And like, not to sugarcoat anything, like there's a lot you sacrifice when you're in another country.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to get there, like fundraising, money, packing and all of the things. Like there's a lot of, but then when you get there, there's even more sacrifice because you're having to die to yourself. Because it's not, you can't do this. You literally cannot do it in your own strength. When you're on a mission trip, you are serving 5 to 8 hours of every day, all day. And like, luckily we got some time to rest, but in Costa Rica, we didn't. That trip, there was no rest other than when we got back home, showered and slept. There was nothing, like there was no rest time. And that's not to scare people. It's know what you're saying yes to.
Yeah.
Because when you say yes, you need to be all in.
Yeah.
Because when you're all in, God moves in your life. And as much as you are doing, just like I've said, as much as you are doing and serving on a mission trip, God is dealing with you. But it's however much you put in. And so my encouragement is say yes, but then know what you're saying yes to.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of serving. There's a lot of, this is not about Andy. This is not about Abby. This is not about anyone but the person standing in front of me and what God wants to do in their life through me. And like, if I'm saying yes, I'm going to do it scared. I'm going to do it doubtful. I'm going to do it no matter the circumstance, because I know God has something to say to the people that I'm serving. And I don't want to be in the way of what God wants to do.
Yeah.
And so like, know your yes, but like just say yes. Like saying yes is the best thing that you can do.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never regretted
Saying yes.
ever saying yes to a missions trip
Yes.
between India, Costa Rica,
Yeah.
Haiti.
Right, yeah.
I've been changed at every single point, and God has
By
moved
saying yes.
and in my life, and then all the other people's lives as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single
So
time.
true.
You know where I want to go? Do y'all remember Miss Manguno at Northlake?
Romania.
She used to go to the Romania trip all the time, and I want to
Really?
go to Romania so
They did a whole
bad.
building, I think there.
They built like a whole
churches and-
youth
I
center.
don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, they built a youth center and like bought buses and stuff for them to go literally go around this village and pick up students so that they could come. And yeah, it was really cool. I do want to go there.
So cool.
I would say the final piece for that question is do it scared. Like you're going to be scared. You're going to have things, but that is where you can see the true faithfulness of the Lord.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you think about the story in the gospel, right? With Peter stepping off the boat.
Mm-hmm.
He was scared, man. Like there's no way you're stepping off of a boat into water in the middle of a storm at night, not scared. Like there's absolutely no way, especially knowing he was like younger than myself. But he did it anyway.
And he kept his eyes on the Lord, and that's the important part of that story.
Well, until he didn't, and then he sunk.
Right.
But
Right.
but the important part is when you keep your eyes on the Lord, you're not going to sink.
Right.
you
Even
have some-
with the chaos.
I was
still
just
around
saying,
it.
I was like reflecting on it, obviously, like these past few days since we've been back, and God has been putting Moses on my heart because like Moses did crappy stuff before God even called him to do anything.
Murder.
And all of that. And like he was living in a place, in an environment where he knew he didn't belong, but God had placed him there. And then God was like, hey, I need you to speak up. And like, and in Exodus 3, he's giving God every reason why he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, God, I can't speak. I can't do this. They're not going to listen. They're not going to listen to me. Why would they listen to me and it, like a Hebrew and all these stuff? But like God was calling them because the Israelites needed him. And like he didn't see the fruit of that. He didn't understand that. But he was almost selling himself short until God was like, okay, I'm going to bring someone alongside of you to help you, your brother Aaron, but you're going to do it.
You want to hear something crazy? And this is getting off topic, but I heard a sermon about Moses literally yesterday. I was sitting there watching it, and it was one of those 10-minute TikToks. It was long, but I sat there and watched the entire thing, and it was talking about how God uses your past to set up your calling.
Yeah.
And it was talking about, he was like, do you think it was an accident that Moses was raised inside of executive leadership in the largest empire of his time?
Sometimes he'll use your
Do you think it was an
insecurities.
accident that God gave him an open door into Pharaoh's court?
Yeah.
God knew exactly before anything
happened.
God knew exactly what he was doing to set up. He was like, yeah, you might not speak the best. Yeah, you might not have, the most
best past.
influence. You might not have the best past. You might have made mistakes, but I'm going to use that in you. I'm going to use your anger. I'm going to use you being raised as if you were an Egyptian prince. I'm going to use everything in you, and I'm going to give you someone alongside of you to complete what you don't have to make your calling more powerful than you will ever be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, to literally change.
It's really cool. Yeah.
To change a nation. Like the Israelites were going around and around. I mean, they were in slavery. They were being beaten, and if Moses didn't do anything, they would have still been there.
Yeah.
And like he didn't understand the weight of that. But one thing that as reading, I'm like, he had to have a trust for God, like in God. He had to. And so that just reflecting on that, it's like, just like Moses, like we sell ourselves short and we say things and maybe we don't agree with what God has called us to do because we feel like we can't be used. But like God used Moses, a murderer, a person who didn't know really who he was. Like he struggled with identity because he grew up in a place and he stuttered. He had a speech impediment and God still used him. It literally says, Moses, I'm using you as a mouthpiece. That's the words of God to Moses. And it's just so cool. Like there's so much you can unpack from that story, but
100%.
He doesn't, what's that saying that people say?
He doesn't call the qualified.
Yeah. He doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called.
Yeah.
And you following the Lord, you have a calling. And so you can go. Your past doesn't define you.
yeah,
Anything that you've done doesn't define you.
it's good.
The Lord does. And so
Absolutely.
going on a mission trip, I'd also say keep that in mind.
Go
Just
on a
because.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it.
Just
do
do
it.
it.
I hate when people say, oh my gosh, it's one of my biggest pet peeves. And maybe because I really have a heart for the nations, but people are like, God didn't tell me to go.
That's wrong. He says it in
Matthew
Matthew.
28, 19 through 20.
He
Would you
literally
like
says
me to read
go.
it? Because
He
it's
literally says
there.
go.
He says go. And he says
Yeah.
the nations are your inheritance if you ask for it. So
Yeah.
if you don't feel like you're called, then read Matthew 28 and pray and ask God for the nations as your inheritance. And I promise you, you'll have the desire to
Yeah.
go.
Amen.
Absolutely. Let's get into the rapid fire questions here. I'm going to ask some questions. They're going to be a little bit like more fun, but I want you to answer in as few words as possible.
These ones
Some of
stress me
them,
out.
some of them might need some
that's hard for me.
explanation.
That's
Some of
hard
them
for
might
me.
need some explanation, but it's going to be really easy. I promise. What was your favorite meal or snack that you had there that you can't have here?
Oh,
Maybe you can't have it here. Maybe they do beans better than us.
chicken.
Freaking chicken.
We ate a whole lot of chicken. Like there was chicken with everything, but it was honestly good. We had like a lot of Chinese food too.
What?
And
Yeah, chicken and Chinese. That
I
was all we
had
got.
lo mein.
That's so weird.
I know.
It's so
I
weird.
had lo mein, and that's Chinese food, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lo mein. The noodles and the chicken, honestly, it
Yes.
was better chicken fried rice and lo mein than it was here.
Mine is mangoes. They're mangoes. Oh my God.
You better be
They're from
careful eating
heaven.
those mangoes, though.
They're
If you eat too many of those mangoes, you're going to be
So good.
on the toilet.
Mango five.
And they don't have nice bathrooms there. That's another sacrifice thing.
I love me some mango, and it's always ripe season. Okay, we're good. We did it.
What is your favorite, if you had to pick one, what was your favorite day and why?
Okay, mine would be Monday. We went to a village called Mayamopan, and it was
What a name.
I know it was all Hispanic, but I was literally shaken and inspired and undone by the pastor of the church that was there. His mother-in-law opened up her house, and that's where they have church because they don't have a
That's
church
cool.
building. And they've been in ministry for years, like going all over and just praying for people and ministering to people. And I felt like God gave me a word for them. And there was a moment where God was just so glorified there.
Yeah.
And he met them there.
Yeah.
And that's why they were so faithful, and God is going to continue to give them much because they've been faithful with what God has given them.
I would say Sunday. We had 2 church services and just time to rest also. But that was kind of like, I feel like that was a good like turning point or like shift in everybody's hearts on the team. And we just were so filled that the rest of the week was just like amazing. And not that the beginning wasn't, but
Yeah.
I feel like that was
was
the
the
day
shift.
where everyone was like,
That was the
I
change.
felt the Holy Spirit so heavily, and it was just so fulfilling.
Yeah.
that day.
Okay. Who was the funniest person on the trip?
Low-key, Mr. Bruce.
Bruce, that's what I was going to say.
He's
So funny.
He's 74, hard of hearing, and so you have to like talk really loud, and so like,
But he
he'd
also
be like,
doesn't
"Wait, what?"
understand that he talks loud
Yeah.
because he can't hear himself.
It was
so
just
we'll
so
be like
funny.
in the middle of praying, and he's like, "Hey, Terrence, Terrence, what'd you eat for breakfast?"
And we're like mid-prayer, and we're like, Mr. Bruce, we're praying. He's like, oh, sorry. So it was
That's
just
so
sweet.
funny.
It was funny having like all these young girls and then like 2 old men. I mean, Mr. Chan is not that old, but anyways, but like having Mr. Bruce, like,
Yeah. That's
and
funny.
it was so funny.
Okay. This one, if you're listening to this and you're on the trip, this is not to offend you. It's just a funny question. Who was the biggest travel diva?
Oh,
Kylie. Oh, really? You would say Kylie?
I think I would say Kylie.
I would say the very
I love
beginning,
you,
Christina.
Kylie. The beginning,
Christina
yes.
Hubble. I love that woman so much. She's so type A. She's more type A than I ever thought I
And
was.
mom.
And probably
more than
and
mom.
more than
It-
mom.
Is she one of those people that's like, we are at the gate 3 hours early and we
Yes, but she's like has everything in a perfect place, but then when it's missing, it's stressful. And then like they give us so much trouble getting into Belize.
That's so funny.
And so she was stressed out the whole time. And I wouldn't say it's a traveling diva thing. It's just she's just a type A mom who loves her child and wants everything to be like.
And we're on Belizean time. It's
But we on Belizean time, and so we all had to kind of adjust. They say, "Blessed are the flexible, for they will see the kingdom of heaven advanced."
let me explain Kylie. Kylie, I love you. This is not offensive at all. I'm so sorry. I feel like
even think this.
the beginning, it was just like not in her normal routine, even just like,
she's so bad about that.
Then I would say
but
Sophia
She's
too.
It's so funny because like, it's exactly how I was.
Yeah.
On my first mission, I was like, I don't know any of this. Like, I'm just even like eating in the airport, just things like that. But honestly, by the end of it, like she was not a diva. She's not that she was a diva, but like she was so like on the way home, she was so like comfortable. She got more comfortable in her own skin there. And so
She
watching
was also
her
really sick on the way there.
On the way there, yeah. But it was just sweet like watching her grow. And we weren't really like that close before. And so getting to like see her just grow in that, even like her cute little empathetic heart and her crying. I was just like, oh, it just reminds me of a younger me. And
I
it's
have
just
one.
sweet.
Oh yeah, go.
Okay, so to be the complete opposite, who was the most like go with the flow, laid back, just there to do whatever?
I think Peyton.
I was gonna
Yeah.
Peyton or Terrence. He was great.
Yeah.
He was like, whatever y'all need, whatever needs to happen. And Peyton's like, I don't care. Just tell me where to go, when to be there, and I'll be there.
She's like, I'm a
I've known
minor.
Terrence for
I'm the minor
we
here.
called her the minor the whole trip. And
Yeah.
she was like, guys,
This is
I'm
what,
not
about
the
to
only
be
minor
17?
here. And I'm like, yeah, but you're the unaccompanied minor.
Yeah.
I've known Terrence for a while. He is a very chill dude. I knew him back from when I worked at
he
Mealy
loves
Printing.
To serve. He loves people.
I was like 19.
Yeah, he has such a servant's heart.
He really
and
does.
He's
Yeah.
such a gentleman. Like
He's-
I
Yes.
noticed that. Like he even the
He's really
last
cool.
day, it was so sweet. We almost all of us in the bus were almost like crying because the last day he was like, he said, "Oh yeah, my wife texted me last night. Like she really
Just wrecked
she,
me."
Yeah, she was like, it just wrecked me because like she said we could never like what did she say? She was like,
I love you so much, and I could never live without you.
yeah, because this is
It
the
was just
longest they
random,
had
like,
gone
on a
without
trip.
seeing each other in like the 30, 40 something years that they were been married, 30 something I think. And,
She'll have to come on the next one.
Yeah, and we met her the night before we left. We had dinner the night before
She's
the
so
trip, and
cute.
she is so sweet and so cute. And so it was just sweet getting to like, and he was just like texting her like, "Oh, I miss you. I'm sorry I didn't get to call today. I love you."
But I think
And it was
Terrence
just so
and Peyton
sweet.
were definitely the
Yeah.
two like
most chill,
chill.
type B, laid back.
That's cool. Okay. So I know y'all got back at 1 o'clock in the morning, Friday morning. Fine. That's when y'all finally got back at the house, according to mom. She
Yeah.
might be off by an hour or so.
No, it was around 1 o'clock.
Her, her time is bad sometimes. How long did you sleep on Friday?
Oh my gosh. I woke up at 9. So I had like 8 hours. She on the other hand,
well, I
Did you
woke
go
up-
back into night shift
wait.
mode?
mom
No,
mom got up at 8:15.
that's so late for her.
Crazy. That is
7
so late.
hours?
Yeah,
That
she
is
never
so
sleeps longer
late
than
for
like 5
her.
hours.
That is so
It's
late.
so late. She was like,
She's getting old.
She,
Love you, mom.
she's getting older.
I went to bed at like 1:32, probably like closer to 2 because I had to unpack. Like I'm an unpacker, clothes were in the laundry and
Yeah.
the washer before I went to sleep. Anyways, so I fully unpacked, showered, had to clean airport, whatever. I don't care how late it is. And so I woke up at like 8 a.m. with like
Ew.
the worst Charlie horse in my leg because I was so
Dehydrated.
dehydrated. I was so dehydrated and I just felt like so sick the last day. And we just ate so much food and I was just like, anyways. So my stomach was hurting and then I was so dehydrated. And so I was like, so I woke up with the worst Charlie horse. I literally, it was so bad. I started praying over my leg when I woke
God,
up.
take this Charlie horse right now.
And then it literally went away and I was like, okay. And I put my eye mask back on and I was zonked out until like 11:30. So
Yeah.
I like woke up a little bit and then went back to sleep.
All right, last question before I pray. Ready?
Okay.
What did you, when you finally got back to the U.S., what did you miss the most about being home?
Tiger.
Wait, about being
Tiger?
I missed our cat. Yeah. We FaceTimed him in the airport and he was like, he heard our voices and he was like looking around. It was so cute.
He was so depressed when
He
we were
missed
there
us.
on
I
4th of
know.
July.
I know.
He hung out with me. He was fine.
What about you?
what did I miss the most?
Was it like food, your bed, AC?
Can I say nothing? Like I really did.
She was sobbing. She was
I
like the
was
last one out the bus.
so-
She didn't want to leave.
I was so sad to leave. Like,
You
it
know,
was
maybe
rough.
real estate's cheaper down there. Just move. Maybe not because it is a vacation
Don't
spot.
test me, because you know I would.
Just make sure you get a house with enough rooms so we can visit.
Mm.
All right. Well, let me pray real quick and then we'll close this out. All right. God, thank you so much for today. Thank you for this conversation that, we all got to have. Thank you for what you did on this mission trip, God, and how you moved in the lives of the people of Belize, God, but also in the lives of everybody that was on this trip. I pray that you continue the work that you started, and that you continue to grow this mission team, God, and grow in each of the people that got to experience you this week. Thank you for your faithfulness. We love you and we thank you, and it's in your name we pray. Everybody said,
Amen.
Well, I know this was a longer episode, everybody. Thank you for sticking around this long
Sorry, we're
and listening.
yappers.
We are yappers. Welcome to the Vega family. But we
Nonstop.
We
we
love to
appreciate you and we love you, and we will catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.